Revealed. 7 Miraculous Chakra Alignments for Divine Healing and Unstoppable Manifestation. In the heart of Willow's End, whispers danced through the air like leaves in the autumn breeze. Words of healing, words of transformation, words that sparkled with possibility. For Mary, a woman whose faith was as deep as the roots of the ancient oak tree outside St. Michael's Church, the greatest miracle awaited just beyond the shadows of her illness. Devotion had always been her compass, guiding her through life's storms. But now, bedridden and isolated, she felt the threads unraveling. Each afternoon, sunbeams filtered through the delicate stained glass of the church, casting colorful patterns on the stone floor. The prayers once echoing around her faded into silence. Villagers, once vibrant in hope, began to murmur, "Doubts could prayer really heal her?" The feeling was palpable, like the dry leaves underfoot in fall. But in the depths of her soul, Mary held tightly to a flicker of hope, longing for divine intervention. She began her journey to understand a world she had never ventured into. Chakra healing. It was a realm filled with vibrant colors, resonating frequencies, and promises of spiritual alignment. With each new teaching, she felt something shift within her energy rising like the morning sun. Yet, with every encouraging whisper she internalized, voices from the village echoed louder, declaring her explorations as a betrayal of her Christian roots. Fear rippled through the hearts of her church family, igniting a fierce debate that filled the tiny hamlet with concern. Caught in the eye of the storm, Mary sank further into despair. The isolation gnawed at her, a biting cold in the warm hearth of her soul. Just as the darkness seemed overwhelming, she met Father Thomas, with eyes that sparkled like stars and a gentle voice that enveloped her like a warm embrace. He held her hands and spoke words of wisdom that seemed to wrap around her heart. "Mary, your healing is not just for you. It serves a greater purpose. You are a beacon of hope for all." Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With renewed resolve, she rallied her community. An evening prayer gathering was set, and amidst much uncertainty, they filled the church with eager hearts. As they clasped hands, the air thickened with belief. Waves of hope washed over them, their deep breaths echoing like a sacred choir. Just as doubt began to settle, a surge of warmth engulfed Mary. Her body pulsed with divine energy. In awe, the congregation watched as she stood before them, restored, radiant, a testament to faith's boundless power. Joy erupted in the church, like a mighty chorus of angels singing through the heavens. Gasps of disbelief turned into shouts of praise, as Mary shared her spiritual revelations. The village, once shrouded in uncertainty, now stood at the threshold of divine understanding. What did her healing mean? Had their beliefs transformed, moving from the familiar to the supernatural? As golden light bathed the village in warmth, Mary felt the stirrings of something wondrous on the horizon, stirring in her heart a promise of deeper faith yet to come. Would they open the door to these new dimensions of belief? The allure of the divine had just begun its whisper, beckoning them to explore the mysteries of faith together. In the days that followed, the ripples of Mary's miraculous recovery spread like wildfire through Willow's End. The village, once shadowed by skepticism, began to hum with a new energy. People gathered at the church, not just for worship, but eagerly sought to understand the profound changes that had touched their lives. Mary became more than a resident, she was a spiritual touchstone, drawing others into the depths of newfound faith. Among the eager faces was Sarah, a single mother who had long battled despair. She had watched from the sidelines, her heart heavy, burdened by doubt. One day, she approached Mary, eyes glistening with a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Can it be true?" she asked softly. "Can this really lead us to something greater?" With a warm smile, Mary nodded, feeling the weight of Sarah's question. "It's not just about healing, dear. It's about the relationship we cultivate with the divine. Together, we can uncover layers of grace we never knew existed." As nights filled with prayer continued, a shifting spirit moved through the village. Together, they explored passages from scripture alongside teachings of healing energy. Mary spoke passionately about her discoveries, how healing chakras could harmonize their spirits without compromising their faith. In a moment of divine clarity, she exclaimed, "It's all connected. Faith and healing are two sides of the same coin. The scriptures tell us to love and heal our neighbors, to believe with all our hearts. What if our fears were just the shadows hiding the light of God's love?" The congregation listened, enraptured by her words. An atmosphere akin to revival ignited inside St. Michael's Church. Father Thomas, fully supportive, often joined in, lending his own wisdom to her encounters. Together, they would share ancient Christian teachings, weaving them with the vibrant energy of the chakra system. Each lesson became a thread that formed a beautiful tapestry, a way to visualize God's love encompassing them all. But not everyone felt at peace. Whispers lingered, questions danced in the air. A small group of staunch traditionalists, armed with their uncertainty, wondered if blending these ideas would fracture their long-held beliefs. What if these new paths led them astray? In hushed tones, they met at the corner of the village, exchanging wary looks. One evening, Mary felt a nudge from the Holy Spirit to address these fears head-on. She called for a gathering where all voices could be heard, speaking from hearts of confusion to a faith that longs for connection. As the candlelight flickered, illuminating faces full of concern, Mary began, "The Father welcomes us, even in our confusion. Together, let us seek understanding." The room thickened with energy, anticipation swirling like a gentle breeze. Each person shared their concerns, their doubts intertwining with dreams of healing. Mary listened with compassion, her heart open, speaking truth rooted in Scripture. "We're exploring uncharted paths, but think of Peter stepping out of the boat. Was it not in faith that he walked upon the waters? We too are being called to step out, to trust the journey." As she spoke, the tension lifted. Doubts began to soften against the warmth of fellowship. One elder, moved by her words, offered his skeptical heart as a testament. "I have seen God's hand guiding this village. If it is indeed Him leading us, how can I resist?" With a renewed gasp of joy, they felt the spirit of unity blossom within them. The merging of their faith with healing energies ignited a deeper understanding of their spiritual journey. Yet, beyond the immediate excitement lay a mystery yet unresolved. What awaited them as they delved deeper? Could they sustain this newfound faith in harmony, shining as a beacon of hope to others? Would their hearts and beliefs intertwine, or would a storm of fear break their delicate bonds? As they looked toward the horizon of the unknown, the divine call faded into a whisper of anticipation. As days turned into weeks, the village of Willow's End seemed to shimmer with a newfound vitality, a divine breath flowing through its streets. Mary's presence felt like a warm embrace, fostering the kind of conversations that transformed weary hearts into vessels of hope. People began to reconnect in ways they hadn't even realized were needed. They laughed, cried, and shared stories of their experiences, each thread weaving them into a tighter bond of community. One quiet evening, the church was aglow with flickering candles, their soft lights casting gentle shadows upon the walls. Mary sensed a weight in the air, a need for deeper connection. She invited everyone to gather, and soon the church buzzed with chatter, hearts aligned in anticipation. "Let us see the beauty in our differences," Mary urged, her voice steady yet warm. "Each of us has something unique to offer in this beautiful dance of faith. Just like the chakra system teaches harmony within ourselves, our differences should bring us closer, not divide us." Father Thomas took her words to heart, nodding in agreement. "Amen. We stand together in this journey, bound by love and grace. Our church remains a refuge for all, regardless of how we interpret God's gifts. Touched by the unity in the room, Sarah, who had long hovered near the edges of the discussions, rose. With trembling hands, she spoke. Sometimes, in the depths of despair, it feels like hopelessness wraps around you like a heavy cloak. I want to lift it and allow light in. If healing requires faith, then I need to believe, and I truly want to believe. A murmur of agreement resonated through the space. Sarah, your sincereness resonates with many, Mary exclaimed, her heart swelling with the spirit of encouragement. Healing is not merely the absence of pain. It is about finding light in the darkness. The very act of sharing your struggles releases those trapped shadows, making room for divine grace. The gathering began to pulse with energy, and one by one, people shared their wounds, some buried deep, others just beneath the surface. A grieving mother, a scared child, a lost soul's testimony drew them closer to the very heart of God. As they shared, something miraculous began to happen. Each testimony was like a prayer ascending heavenward, creating an ambiance filled with hope and authenticity. They began to explore ways faith intertwined with healing energy, and Mary led them through simple meditative practices that encouraged tranquility. "This is our sacred time," she whispered softly, guiding everyone in a moment of stillness. "Let us breathe in God's love together and open our hearts to whatever healing means to each of us." A serene hush enveloped the church, and as they closed their eyes, the flickering candlelight painted a dancing glow against the closed lids. In that beautiful stillness, many felt a stirring within, a gentle guidance, whispering beyond reason. Suddenly, in a moment of shared epiphany, one man exclaimed, "What if these teachings of healing we've sought are the very breadcrumbs of God's path for us? What if our connection isn't merely about healing ourselves, but healing each other?" A grateful buzz of understanding rippled through the congregation. As they ventured deeper into prayer and reflection, the spirit of unity began to intertwine with the sacred threads of healing knowledge. But within this sacred space, Mary felt a palpable urge from the divine, message, yet unspoken, urging her forward. "Let's take this together," she said, feeling the thrill of the unknown. What deeper truths lay before us? What mysteries will unveil themselves if we tread courageously out of our comfort zones? A collective gasp echoed behind Mary's words, excitement weaving through their hearts. They pondered what lay ahead, standing at the edge of a vast expanse, hungry for divine revelation and the transformation love could bring. In that moment, as candle flames flickered softly around them, they felt the stirring of something beautiful just on the horizon, something waiting to be illuminated. What awaited them as they deepened their journey together? Would they boldly follow where the Spirit led? The questions lingered, inviting all to step into the divine unknown. With a quiet faith humming in the air, the nights grew warmer in Willow's End. The church, a sacred hub now pulsing with life, became a beacon of transformation. Mary, filled with anticipation, sensed the unfolding. The faces around her glowed with a light of understanding, tender, fragile, yet vibrant. As the next gathering approached, whispers of deeper teachings filled the village. Murmurs of divine guidance flowed through conversations like a stream reviving thirsty soil. People sought answers, yearning to explore the connections between heavenly love and their earthly experiences. On the night of the meeting, a gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of blooming flowers through the church's open doors. Candles flickered in rhythmic harmony, casting warm halos over upturned faces. Mary stood at the front, her spirit alive with faith. "Tonight, let us dive deeper into our healing journey," she began, her voice both calming and exhilarating. "Let us embrace the unique gift of each chakra, recognizing how they can align with the divine energy within us." No sooner had her words settled, when Father Thomas spoke up, his eyes sparkling with wonder. What a beautiful truth! Each chakra could become a gateway, connecting us to God's love and our community's healing. It's like a symphony, where every note strengthens the whole. The villagers shared smiles, eager to see where this new understanding led. Mary guided them into a brief meditation, inviting all to close their eyes and breathe. Picture your root chakra, she beckoned softly, feeding you stability and grounding, while connecting you to the earth's essence, she observed as they sank into the vision. Many shifted in their seats, exhaling softly. The weight of worry seemed to lift individual struggles, dissolving into the collective embrace of God's presence. Now, envision your heart chakra, she continued, radiating love, compassion, and forgiveness. What burdens would you lay upon its altar tonight? What forgiveness could we bestow upon ourselves and each other? Gasps filled the room as emotions stirred. Layers of silence peeled away, revealing shared vulnerabilities that made their hearts sing with warmth. A young voice broke into the hush. It was Emma, her cheeks glistened with tears. I want to forgive myself for not being enough, for doubting my worth along the path. She looked around, the gentle determination in her gaze, igniting others' courage. Emma, your heart's call is heard, Mary replied, moved. Your bravery unlocks others. Letting go is as much a part of healing as holding on. This moment is sacred. As messages of love and encouragement unfolded, the atmosphere resonated with surrender and hope. They walked through each chakra, punctuating feelings of joy, creativity, and clarity, until they reached the crown chakra, their connection to divine wisdom. Here, my friends, we touch the sacred, Mary breathed. Here, we ask not for answers, but for a revelation. What does God wish to reveal through our journey? The collective heartbeats synced in anticipation, and a sacred silence enveloped them. It hung heavy yet light, a whisper of divine assurance that something profound was on the verge of revelation. In that moment, they could almost feel the pulse of eternity drawing near. Suddenly, from the back, an elderly woman stood. Sometimes, we get caught in our healing. We forget it is not just for us. Her voice trembled with passion. Healing is more than a gift. It's our responsibility. By healing ourselves, we heal the wounds of our community. A chorus of amen rose in response, echoing through the church. They felt the shared responsibility, the sacred bond of a united purpose. But what were they to do next? What steps awaited them as they ventured forward in this divine calling? As the questions lingered, Mary's heart raced with anticipation. Tonight wasn't just about learning. It was about living the very essence of their faith. What awaited them beyond this moment of awakening? A mystery beckoned, promising a deeper plunge into the adventure only God could lead them on. As the stillness of the church deepened, whispers of excitement floated through the congregation. Each soul felt the weight of their responsibility, unweighing awakening that stirred a longing for purpose. With their hearts and minds opened, Mary sensed the energy shifting, a divine current eager to be harnessed. Let us consider how we can transform this awakening into action, she urged, her voice infused with urgency. Healing ourselves enables us to bring about healing in others. Love and light are never meant to be kept. They are to be shared. The flicker of candlelight danced upon eager faces, illuminating the resolve in their eyes. But what would this sharing look like? Mary felt the energy pooling, asking for focus, for direction. Let's each take a moment, she instructed, and envisioned how we can extend this healing into our daily lives. Can you see yourself offering compassion to a neighbor? Or encouragement to a friend battling doubt? Small groups formed throughout the church. Laughter and kind words mingled with hopeful prayers. Each whisper seemed to vibrate with potential, each intention a step toward collective transformation. Mary drifted through the gathering, her heart swirling with the beauty and depth of their shared aspirations. As she listened to their dreams, a powerful thought struck her. Maybe they could create a community garden, a space where hearts could connect not just through healing practices, but through planting and nurturing. A sanctuary of growth, filled with flowers of hope and vegetables of sustenance. Wasn't this what healing truly meant? With a burst of excitement, she shared her vision. Imagine us working side by side, planting seeds, not only in the soil, but in each other's hearts. A garden where joy and faith blossom together. Voices erupted joyfully, fueled by the idea. A young man, Jacob, stood up, and we can host gatherings there. Teach others about our chakra alignments and the healing they can bring. We can invite everyone. The energy in the room peaked, resonating like a sacred choir. Ideas flowed freely as they envisioned days of fellowship spent tending to God's creation while deepening their own faith. Each heart was alight with the fire of divine intention. As the energy rippled through them, Mary felt a profound hush come over the crowd. An elderly man, with deep lines etched upon his weathered face, raised his hands in reverence. What you speak is truth. But do we remember that the earth too needs our healing? We must honor our connection to it. A wave of silence fell again. Thoughtful nods exchanged. They remembered the earth housed their spirit, reminded them of their shared mission with creation. In every seed sown, there lay the ability to heal not just their hearts, but the land and souls around them. With hearts stirred, the congregation prayed as one, their voices blending into a tapestry of supplication. May our hands become instruments of your peace, Lord. May every garden bloom with the love we nurture. As the prayer settled like dust in sacred air, Mary felt a tremor radiate through the space. What began as a gathering for healing now surged forth with purpose. But even amidst their unity, a question lingered in her heart, beckoning her deeper. Could it truly be that this simple act of planting, nurturing, and sharing would unlock further revelations? What hidden truths did God wish to unveil as they ignited this path together? Their hearts brimmed with possibilities. Faith ignited in every corner of the church. The mystery awaited them, and in it lay a hope yet to unfold. The church hummed with a renewed energy. The atmosphere was charged, each heart beating with a desire to serve, to heal, and to grow. Mary's vision of the garden had ignited a spark. She walked among them, feeling the warmth of their collective enthusiasm wrap around her like a comforting embrace. As conversations blossomed, she spotted Jacob and a few others animatedly sketching out a plan. Laughter spilled from their corner, buoyant and infectious. Mary felt a swell of joy. This was how community was meant to be, lively and filled with intention. Every seed we plant is a prayer, she whispered to herself, a mantra forming within. It wasn't just about what they would grow. It was about the nurturing of relationships, the weaving of lives. Each sapling would be a testament to their faith, a living reminder of their commitment to each other and to the world. Then, she was drawn to the elderly man, who had spoken so reverently earlier. He sat cross-legged, surrounded by a few younger members, his voice soft yet steady. "We must not forget, children," he said gently, "that the roots will seek nourishment. As we grow outward, we must also sink deeper." His words struck a chord within Mary. She felt a pull, a gentle urging to explore this revelation further. What if our roots are grounded not only in the earth but also in one another? She pondered aloud, bringing the group to a thoughtful pause. If we connect deeply and water each other's spirits, wouldn't that lead to a flourishing life? A warmth radiated from the gathering. Hope flickered in their eyes like candle flames. Each soul seemed to grasp the depth of her words, whispering affirmations that echoed through the church. "I see us enhancing our bond," Jacob ventured, picturing their garden alive with connection. "We could write our intentions on the walls of the church, alongside our plants." "Yes," someone chimed in. "A living wall of hope and connection, where our desires can intertwine with God's creation." The collective imagination soared. They envisioned a mosaic of colors, with each plant representing a prayer pledge. The space would become a vibrant illustration of their unity and faith, intertwining personal stories into the larger tapestry of their community. But, as they spoke of growth, certain faces began to cloud. The elderly man raised a finger, signaling a thought hanging in the air. "But with all growth, we must also be prepared for the storms." The congregation fell silent, In that pause, Mary felt the weight of what he meant. Growth could attract challenges. They needed to be prepared. But how? Would their shared intentions be strong enough to withstand life's trials? Are we ready, my friends? She asked gently. Ready to tend to each other in the hard times, as well as the joyful ones. We cannot offer healing to the world if we crumble at the first sign of trouble. A few nods scattered like leaves in the breeze, but uncertainty lingered in the air. It hovered between them like a question waiting to be voiced. What if our doubts are as potent as our faith? Someone finally said, their voice trembling. A ripple of agreement flowed. This was the heart of their dilemma. Their strength lay within their community, yes, but was faith alone enough to shield them from the storms? Mary felt a flicker of divine awareness brush across her soul. Doubt can be our teacher, she spoke softly. Perhaps in acknowledging it, we open ourselves to deeper wisdom. Let us embrace our fears and face them together, planting each doubt into the soil, allowing it to transform into growth. A deep sigh resonated through the church. Each soul began to reflect, the murmur of thoughts weaving once again into the fabric of their collective spirit. With hearts melding together, they began to understand this was the next step on their journey. With every seed they planted, it wasn't merely about healing. It was about cultivating resilience, transforming challenges into lessons of love and unity. As they drew closer in prayer, Mary realized that every struggle could yield extraordinary strength. But what would it take to unveil their deepest fears? What revelations awaited them as they ventured deeper into vulnerability and connection? The sunlight streamed through the stained glass, painting the walls with vibrant hues of red, blue, and green. Each color seemed to dance, casting a warm glow over the faces of the congregation. They sat together, a mixture of anticipation and anxiety lingering in the air as they contemplated the journey ahead. Mary took a deep breath, feeling that divine energy wrapping around her like a gentle shawl. It was a reminder that they were not alone. In that moment, as their hands clasped together in prayer, she felt something shift within her. It was as if a heavenly whisper was nudging her to delve deeper into their shared fears and desires. What if, she began, her voice barely more than a whisper, we encouraged one another to share our storms, to voice our uncertainties? What if our doubts became the very soil from which we grow? Eyes widened around the room, the query hanging delicately like an ornament on a Christmas tree. It created a space for vulnerability to seep in, a silent invitation for the members to peel back layers of their guarded souls. Jacob leaned forward, his brow furrowed in contemplation. Could speaking our worries really lead to strength? Isn't fear just the absence of faith? Spoke the elderly man, his words resonating like a bell tolling across the stillness. In sharing our shadows, we might just shine light on the testimonies of our hearts. More murmurs of agreement floated around the room, each heart opening a little wider. The concept of sharing their vulnerabilities brought with it a sense of revelation. Mary's heart raced with hope. Perhaps these honest discussions were the keys to unlocking profound connection, leading to the nurturing environment their garden desired. As they began to express, one by one, small ripples turned into waves. Leela, a timid young woman, spoke first, her words trembling. I often feel like I don't belong. It's as if I'm standing outside, watching everyone else thrive. Her honesty sliced through the air, eliciting gasps and nods. Another voice chimed in, a man named Thomas. I struggle to believe that God can heal my past. I fear that I'm not enough. There it was, a collective realization. They were not alone in their fears. It's so easy to let doubt push us away, Jacob added. But what if it can pull us closer? How can we support each other? Mary felt her spirit uplifted. Just as roots intertwine beneath the surface, we're meant to hold each other up through life's unpredictable seasons. Our shared doubts can become shared strength. The energy in the room shifted, becoming electric as hearts began to connect in raw authenticity. Each member found solace in one another's admissions, recognizing their pains as part of a larger tapestry of shared experience. They gathered in a circle, joining their hands. Aloud and in unison, they honored each fear together as sacred. With each confession, prayers began to flow like currents of healing. A gentle gust of wind drifted through, fanning the flickering candles, a tangible sign of that divine presence. Mary surrendered into the warmth of it, all her heart swelling with appreciation and gratitude. She realized that they weren't merely planting a garden for fruits or flowers. They were cultivating a soul space of vulnerability, compassion, and love. As they closed their eyes, Mary raised a silent prayer of thanks to God for this transformative moment. Yet, an intriguing thought tickled at the edge of her mind. What if, she mused, these seeds of doubt, once embraced, could bring forth something magnificently unexpected, like a deeper faith emerging from the soil of shared struggles? The thought lingered in the air, as palpable as the light shining through the stained glass. They were indeed at the threshold of something miraculous, but what else would emerge from the depths of their collective honesty? What transformations awaited them as they embarked on this new journey together? The air was thick with a profound stillness. Each person in the circle was now a beacon of light, their vulnerabilities mingling like strands of a beautiful tapestry. As they held hands, warmth surged through Mary, filling her with a sense of unity and divine purpose. Jacob broke the silence, his voice trembling with emotion. We've shared our struggles, but what happens next? How do we turn our fears into faith? A ripple of murmurs swept through the group, eyes brightening with curiosity and determination. Slowly, Mary took a step forward, her heart thumping with inspiration. What if we began to plant seeds of hope, not just for ourselves, but for one another? Each fear we've shared could become a prayer for healing. Lila's eyes sparkled with newfound courage. Can we not take each doubt and whisper it as a prayer request? Be it for acceptance, healing, or strength? Thomas nodded, his voice growing steadier. Like planting seeds, we should commit to nurturing these prayers. We don't face these storms alone. After all, our fears can fuel our faith, driving us to seek God's intervention and growing together. Mary clasped her hands tighter, sensing the energy building among them. Each person had unique struggles that could be turned into collective prayers for the community. The group began to discuss how to structure their shared prayers, voices excitedly bouncing from one person to the next. They envisioned sacred evenings filled with renewed purpose, dedicated to connecting, sharing, and invoking God's grace over their fears. One by one, they began naming their personal hopes. I want to be free of the chains of my past, Lila expressed. I yearn for the belief that I am enough, Thomas added, tears glistening in his eyes. Encouraged by the unfolding atmosphere, Jacob stepped in, praying for healing, not just for our wounds, but to show others that scars are markers of survival. A hush fell over the group as they began to understand. These weren't just personal desires. They were communal prayers, like seeds waiting to sprout. They realized that, by voicing their longings, they were creating a fertile ground for transformation, both individually and collectively. Mary closed her eyes, picturing each prayer as a vibrant seed, burrowing deep into the soil of their shared faith. Imagine, she smiled, in season. These seeds sprouting into a beautiful garden one that draws others in with its fragrance of healing. Suddenly, an enticing thought struck her. What if God's plan extended even further than their immediate circle? A vision formed in her heart, a community united in faith. An ever-expanding garden that would reach those on the fringes. The ones who felt just like Lila once did, standing on the outside. They took turns praying aloud, their voices rising as one graceful melody, bathed in faith. The atmosphere buzzed with expectation, and each prayer felt tangible, as if angels were walking among them, collecting their words. As the prayers intertwined, Mary sensed an immediate energy shift. Light enveloped the room, setting their spirits ablaze with an unyielding courage. But even as they began this exhilarating journey, doubt flickered in the corners of her mind. What if we falter? Whispered a shadow. What if we're not enough? Yet, almost instinctively, a quiet confidence sprang forth from somewhere deep within her spirit. This isn't just about us. It's about faith even in our uncertainty, even when the storm rages on. What if God's grace laps at the heels of every fear we surrender? With that thought igniting deep hope within, she opened her eyes to her friends, a divine question forming at her lips. Could this be the beginning of something bigger, a movement of faith rising from our deepest fears? The room shimmered with expectation, but the question hung heavy in the air. What awaited them on this path of purpose, and would they have the strength to walk it together? A hush lingered for a moment, as each soul absorbed Mary's words. Then, Jacob broke the stillness, his voice rising with contagious passion. What if we don't just plant seeds, but water them with our actions? Prayer is powerful, but we must also move in faith. Lila nodded, feeling the truth of his words reverberate in her heart. Yes, maybe we can set up small groups meet regularly to share our progress and encourage one another. A warm energy rippled through the circle as ideas blossomed, each one a petal unfurling in the morning light of shared faith. Mary felt the weight of possibility in the room. Each small act can be a catalyst, right? Like when you share your testimony, Jacob people are inspired and reminded that they are not alone. Our testimonies become part of the garden too. Thomas leaned forward, an eager glimmer in his eyes. Let's create a space for those outside our circle. Like a faith garden, inviting others to plant their seeds with ours. Who knows what could sprout? A murmur of excitement tumbled through the group. They began envisioning workshops, prayer evenings, and community events. Each suggestion brought forth laughter, joy, and hope, painting an image of a vibrant, growing community blossoming into a haven of love and support. Yet, as Mary felt the thrill of their possibilities, a wave of uncertainty washed over her, like an unexpected tide. But what if we face opposition? She pondered aloud. What if not everyone understands? Lila, ever the wise one, responded with a serene smile. This is where our faith holds us together, Mary. We're proof that faith can rise above doubt. Even the most beautiful flowers push through rocks, don't they? Encouraged by Lila's metaphor, Mary began to see her earlier fears tremble, like leaves dancing in the wind. I guess we have to be brave, then. Our willingness to step into the unknown could inspire others to do the same. With renewed vigor, they began planning their first gathering for Neighbors in evening, dedicated to sharing stories, laughter, and a little love. As they discussed the details, Mary's heart swelled with excitement. The prospect of reaching out beyond their own struggles became a new prayer of its own. She saw faces brightening, longing for connection, and her spirit soared even higher. Imagine each person who comes sharing their story, she mused. They will carry hope back to their homes. We can be messengers of faith. They concluded with fervent prayers for their outreach visions, as the flickering candlelight cast gentle shadows on their hopeful faces. Yet, as they finished, the thought of God's plan loomed larger still. What if this was only the beginning? Could it be that God had even grander dreams for this community, ready to intertwine their stories with others far and wide? With that question whispering through her mind, Mary sensed the divine pull of destiny. What if our fears were only a stepping stone to a greater calling? She wondered aloud, her voice a soft echo amidst the lingering softness of their shared moments. As they closed their session with a final prayer, all eyes were drawn upward, past the simple ceiling above, as though they were all reaching towards the same celestial goal. The room was filled with warmth and light, but Mary felt that something monumental awaited them just beyond those walls. Could faith alone lead us into the heart of miracles? She asked, her spirit aglow with anticipation. The tension of limitless possibilities entwined with their dreams hung thick in the air. Echoing the question, were they ready to embrace whatever God had in store next? As the days unfolded in the vibrant village of Willow's End, transformation pulsed through the community like a heartbeat. Mary stood at the center of it all, witnessing not just growth in her garden, but in hearts and souls. Front and center, her journey intertwined with that of every villager, their stories weaving an extraordinary tapestry of faith illuminated by their collective dreams and struggles. One crisp morning, under a gentle sunrise, the community gathered for their first faith garden outreach. The excitement crackled in the air like electricity. Mary welcomed everyone with open arms, her spirit buoyant with belief. Today, she proclaimed, is more than a gathering. It's the dawn of a new era, where faith becomes action, stitching us closer under God's watchful gaze. Laughter, chatter, and prayers mingled in the atmosphere, as villagers from all walks of life brought their seeds of hope, some literal, and others metaphorical. Children ran about, delightedly planting, while mothers shared recipes for healing teas, and fathers recounted tales of their own struggles turned triumphs. Each story sparkled with the richness of divine connection. Amidst the joy, Mary noticed Emma standing back, her gaze fixed on the group, hesitation clouding her brow. Approaching her, Mary placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Every heart has a seed to plant, she whispered gently, sensing the weight of Emma's turmoil. What is yours? With a quavering breath, Emma opened her heart. I want to share my journey of feeling unworthy. But what if my scars scare others away? Mary resonated with her truth. Emma, your scars are proof of a battle fought. Let them be your testimony of healing. When you show vulnerability, others will find strength through your story. The warmth of their conversation birthed courage in Emma. As moments passed, Mary sensed the divine presence wrapping around them, urging her to call the group to attention. Let us gather around the seeds. May they become symbols of our hopes and the promises we've made to each other. They formed a circle around the newly planted seeds, their hands interlocked in a web of faith. As they closed their eyes, Mary's voice rose above the gathering, embodying unity. Dear Lord, bless these seeds, transforming them into miracles. Let our actions intertwine our hearts, so we may grow closer to you and one another. The resonance of their joined spirits anchored Mary in divine assurance. This was just the beginning. In the weeks that followed, the garden flourished, mirroring the metamorphosis of the community. Nightly gatherings blossomed into deep connections, and the villagers learned to lean on each other. They prayed, shared testimonies, and explored their fears openly. Moments of doubt no longer darkened their hearts, but encouraged them to cling to the light of faith. Yet, even in this blossoming of hope, a storm brewed on the horizon. Division sparked by lingering fears among some villagers. A small faction voiced concerns over the chakra teachings, feeling they strayed from the true essence of faith. Mary stood before them one evening, feeling the tension vibrate in the air. We're not changing our beliefs, she addressed the gathering. We're enriching our understanding of God's creation. In blending these practices with faith, I found healing and connection. She glanced at Father Thomas, who stood beside her, embodying support. We hold our beliefs with open palms in unity, not division. God's love encompasses the wholeness of our beings. Encouraged by her words, many began to testify about the changes they had felt. Like blossoming flowers, revealing their colors. I've never felt closer to God, one villager exclaimed. It's as if everything I've learned is aligning in new ways. With each heartfelt story, doubts faltered against the strength of unity, and Mary felt renewed hope flood the space. Gradually, they began to bridge gaps, illuminating dark corners with love and understanding, showing that diversity of thought only enriched their faith. Yet, a final question lingered in the air. What would be the legacy of their healing garden? Mary felt a stirring within her spirit, a divine whisper that encouraged her to dream bigger. What if, she thought aloud during one of their gatherings, this garden could extend beyond our village? What if we could nurture healing and connection in neighboring towns? A chorus of energetic chatter erupted, ideas blossoming like vibrant flowers unfurling in the sun. Yes, we'll create a traveling garden wherever we go. We'll take our seeds of hope. Share our journey far and wide. Echoed voices from the crowd. Fueled by determination, Mary rallied them. Let's gather our stories, our struggles, our triumphs. These tales could spark a desire for connection in others. We're the bearers of hope, embodying the very essence of love. Focused energy transformed into structured plans. The community sought ways to share their garden with those beyond their horizons. Workshops, prayer circles, and outreach programs began forming. With newfound divine clarity, Mary felt a swell of joy as they worked together. Planting, nurturing, crafting, plans a sacred movement rooted in faith, spreading like wildfire through hearts hungry for connection. As their efforts venture into the unknown, a profound understanding crystallized. Their journey was not about merely finding healing for themselves, but creating a haven that invited others in, cultivating community gardens of faith wherever they went. And as they knelt in prayer, the entire village glowed with divine light, a testament to the beauty released when fear transformed into faith, connection ignited in love. In the heart of Willow's End, a legacy was born, a thriving garden filled with grace and hope, blooming eternally, destined to change the world around them. Dwelling in this moment of fulfillment, Mary reminded her community, our journey is blessed. Remember, friends, love knows no bounds. Let's keep planting seeds of faith together. And with expectant hearts, they embraced the divine call to love and heal, as one, a collective movement toward a future woven beautifully in unity, light, and the power of faith. Remember this, dear friends, your journey, your story, your faith matters. Now is the time to reflect on this beautiful conclusion. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm's faith and support this mission. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. Don't wait even one more second. Your actions can inspire others to join this beautiful journey with God.